This encounter is not a coincidence. You have been guided here by a hand far greater than your own, arriving at this exact moment under divine appointment. For weeks, perhaps months, the signs have been stirring around you. Subtle shifts in the atmosphere, recurring feelings you couldn't name, a sacred disquiet in your spirit. That silent tension was a preparation. What has been concealed in shadows is now rising to the surface, compelled by a force the darkness cannot withstand. There is a man whose life intersects with yours. To the world, he has presented a face of calm consistency, polite, routine, unremarkable in his daily comings and goings. But within the hidden chambers of his heart, a storm has been gathering, a tempest of choices made in secret, of words spoken in duality, is now reaching its crescendo. The truth, long suppressed, is beginning to tremble. It can no longer be contained. Soon, what was done in the dark will be shouted from the rooftops, and the earthly consequences will unfold with an unstoppable momentum. The ripple from this moment will travel farther than you can currently perceive, touching lives and shifting destinies in its wake. Do not receive this message of fear, but as one of sacred preparation. It is written, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." The divine does not allow truth to fall to the ground without first alerting those he has chosen to stand as witnesses. That unrest in your spirit, that nameless tension you've carried, it was not anxiety, it was the whisper of the Holy Spirit, a gentle alarm sounding in the depths of your soul. The sleepless nights, the unexplained repetitions, the intuitive knowing that something was amiss, these were not products of an overactive imagination. They were the fruits of spiritual discernment, a divine radar detecting a frequency of deception. The fire inside you, that compelling urge to seek clarity, is real and heaven-sent. Now, through this very moment, the voice of heaven speaks a clear directive. Be ready. Stay awake. Pay attention. What is coming will not merely adjust a single life, it will recalibrate many. You have been selected to witness this unfolding, to comprehend it with spiritual insight, and to walk forward in clarity, not confusion. Your role is to observe with wisdom and remain anchored in peace. As you step into this new layer of sacred awareness, declare your readiness. Let your affirmation be a signal in the spirit. Speak your amen as a seal of your understanding and your commitment to walk alert in the light of revelation, not the shadows of fear. This message has found its intended recipient. Acknowledge its arrival and resolve to move forward with divine perspective. We will close this time with a covering of prayer for wisdom, discernment, and a peace that transcends all understanding. For this is far more than words on a screen. This is a divine interruption, a holy insertion into your timeline. The path of this man has now reached its point of reckoning. Heaven has meticulously recorded what was performed in the hidden rooms of his life. While he spoke with smiles and maintained a steady facade before others, his heart journeyed far from authenticity. He has lived in contradiction, offering one narrative to humanity and an entirely different one before the throne of grace. But the Lord, who perceives the unseen and hears the words left unspoken, has observed it all. Nothing, not a single glance, not a secret transaction, not a whispered lie has escaped his gaze. The alarm that sounded in your spirit did so for a profound reason. The stirring in your soul, the unexplained tightness in your chest, the weight that settled on your thoughts, these were not random, they were signposts. Heaven has been sounding a trumpet in the spiritual realm, and now the moment of manifestation is upon us. This man is not who he has professed to be. The season of pretense is over. Just as the prophet Samuel was sent to confront King Saul, not from a place of personal vendetta, but because a pattern of disobedience had reached a divine limit, so now are messengers of truth being released to reveal what can no longer remain concealed.
This man has walked in close proximity to your life, perhaps as a confidant, a leader in your community, or even someone who once claimed to hold affection for you. Yet his choices have authored a story of deception. His mask is not merely slipping, it is cracking under the immense holy pressure of a truth that refuses to be silenced any longer. The justice now approaching is not a sudden, impulsive act. It is the visible emergence of a verdict long since settled in the courts of heaven. In the unseen realm, the scales have already tipped. What was decided in the silent councils of the divine is now beginning to manifest in the natural world. Though he may still walk freely in the sight of men, the heavenly records already reflect the outcome. The principle is eternal and unyielding. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. You may have questions that ache in the quiet. Why was someone like this allowed such proximity? Why did the Most High not remove him sooner? Remember the narrative of Job, a man righteous and faithful, who endured profound testing without comprehending the why until much later. In a similar vein, some of the unexplained delays in your own journey, those silent battles and peculiar closures, were intricately connected to this man's presence. His energy was a subtle drain. His hidden life created a spiritual blockage. He wasn't just near your path, he was, in unseen ways, interfering with it. Now the Holy One is orchestrating his removal. This is not primarily about destruction, but about divine protection, protection of a sacred purpose that concerns you directly. You must understand this pivotal truth. The path ahead of you is holy, and holiness cannot share its space with corruption. What God has ordained for your next season requires an environment of clarity, peace, and uncompromised truth. Therefore, he is lifting the veil. He is exposing what cannot be permitted to follow you into the future. His mercy shielded you even when you were unaware of the full scope of the danger. Now his love is revealing the reason behind the shield. You did not fail. You were not foolish. You operated in trust before the appointed time of unveiling. But that time has now arrived. The invisible chains are snapping. The fog of confusion is dissipating. The burden you carried without an explanation is being lifted from your shoulders. This is not merely a moment of warning. It is a profound moment of release. You may not yet possess the full picture, but soon the patterns will align with stunning clarity. Past decisions will reveal their hidden purpose. And when others begin to ask how you possibly saw this coming, you will recall it was not mere instinct or human suspicion. It was God, the faithful guardian who never ceases to protect his own. Let peace, true peace, return to your soul now. Let the heaviness fall away. The truth is hidden no more. Around your life, angels stand stationed, quiet, watchful, unwavering. They have not abandoned their posts. Even now, they surround your home like a fortress, cover your mind with a shield, and stand guard over your heart during moments when you did not realize the proximity of danger. In the nights you wept yourself to sleep, and the days your strength felt like grains of sand slipping through your fingers, you were seen. You thought you were breaking, but in divine reality, you were being rebuilt. What felt like abandonment was actually a strategic repositioning. You were being moved out of harm's reach and prepared for the very thing heaven is now releasing.
Yes, the exposure, the crashing of truth into the light, is only the commencement. What is being revealed was never intended to destroy you. It was destined to release you. The man who clouded your path and drew energy from your vitality while wearing a mask of care is being divinely removed. His removal is not just an earthly event, it is a spiritual unlocking. What was tangled will now unravel. What was delayed will now accelerate. As the prophet declared, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" What once felt like an ending is, in truth, the beginning of a divine reordering. The shift you sense in the atmosphere, the old memories resurfacing without warning, the sudden reappearance of people from your past, this is not randomness. This is spiritual transition
unfolding in real time. There may be moments ahead that feel strange, even heavy. You may be tempted to reach backward toward old photographs, archived messages, and emotions that no longer serve your future. But let the past remain securely in the hands of God. What is being cleared is making sacred room. You were never a bystander in this narrative. You are the reason heaven intervened. You were the one the enemy could not touch, not because of your own strength, but because you were chosen. The removal of this man is about creating space, space for your next chapter, for deep healing, for authentic joy, for divine alignment, for a peace that doesn't demand performance. For some, it is even space for a love that reflects God's character, one free from confusion. The days ahead may call you to a posture of stillness, to deep listening, to resisting the urge to react, and to trusting that the pieces you once couldn't fit together are now forming a clear picture. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. In that stillness, you will perceive what has shifted, you will know what has been lifted, and you will feel the very air around you clear. This is not the end. This is the clearing before the promise. Heaven is not only dispatching protection, it is widening the path for your next elevation. Listen with care, for this moment transcends the reception of insight. It concerns how you steward that insight. Revelation, when not coupled with obedient action, decays into frustration. Heaven did not pull back the curtain merely to stir your emotions. It did so to position you strategically for what comes next. You have been entrusted with clarity. This is a rare and sacred gift in a world saturated with noise, illusion, and half-truths. The clarity God imparts is a signal. You are no longer walking blind. You are being asked to move as one who knows the path is holy, even when it is hard. Begin with your words. In seasons of spiritual unveiling, silence is not emptiness. It is a form of obedience. There is sacred power in withholding your voice until the Spirit releases you to speak. Consider Mary, the mother of Jesus. After the angel Gabriel delivered an unimaginable prophecy, Scripture tells us she treasured up all these things, pondering them in her heart. She did not rush to explain, argue, or announce. She held the word in quiet contemplation. This is the posture you are being invited into now. Speak when moved by peace, not by pressure. Allow truth to do what it inherently does. Rise without requiring your defense. Next, quietly examine your circle. There are people who feel familiar but are no longer in alignment. Some relationships are not evil, they're simply expired. Recall Jonah on the ship to Tarshish. God directed him one way, he chose another. The ensuing storm battered everyone on board, not because of their own disobedience, but because of who they were carrying. The waves did not still until they released Jonah into the deep waters. Sometimes peace does not come from more prayer over a situation, but from a release of what should not be in your boat. After this, tend to your environment, not just the physical, but the spiritual. Remove items that tug you backward into old seasons. These could be messages, objects, music, gifts, or clothing that carry the residual energy of confusion, heartbreak, or compromise. This is not an act of angry destruction or a public statement. Quiet obedience resonates louder than any performance. You are not dishonoring your past. You are declaring your readiness for the future. As God instructed Israel before they crossed into the Promised Land, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. Clean space invites holy movement. Embrace stillness as your secret weapon. You are being trained to hear God not only in the dramatic fire or earthquake, but in the gentle whisper. Remember Elijah in the cave, fearing for his life and desperate for direction. The Lord was not in the great wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but then came a still, small voice, and that whisper carried the instruction that changed everything. In your stillness, ask simply, God, what are you showing me today? Trust that the answer may come as a deepening peace or as a holy discomfort that refuses to be ignored. Your physical body is also a messenger. The weariness you feel is not a sign of weakness. It is the residue of carrying what was never meant to be a permanent load. Your shoulders have borne emotional weight far longer than they were designed to. Heaven is not calling you lazy for needing rest. It is inviting you into restoration. Drink water not merely for hydration, but as a sacred act of stewardship over the temple God entrusted to you. Step outside and let sunlight touch your skin, a tangible reminder that even the sun rises without striving. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. This is that restoration in motion. Now hear this gently but firmly. It is not your assignment to save everyone. You cannot outrun another person's consequences, nor can you stand between them and the lessons God needs to teach them. Even Jesus, with all power in his hands, did not stop Judas from walking away. He loved him, called him friend, but let him go. Compassion without boundaries becomes codependency. You are not turning your back by stepping back. You are aligning yourself with heaven's divine order. Begin to write, not obsessively, but intentionally. Keep a record of what you notice, the atmospheric shifts, the unexpected confirmations, the sudden clarity over past conversations. These notes are not just reminders, they are anchors. When the whirlwind passes, you will look back and see the precision of heaven's guidance. Like Joseph, who endured betrayal, imprisonment, and delay, you will one day declare your own version of his words. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Let your prayers be quiet yet focused. God is not moved by volume, but by the authenticity of a heart seeking truth. Pray for discernment, pray for peace, pray for the strength to obey even when it makes no emotional sense. Remember, justice is not yours to deliver. It is already unfolding. You are not the judge, you are the protected one. Maintain your daily rhythm. Wash the dishes, take walks, complete your work. These ordinary actions are not distractions. They are anchors when everything else feels uncertain. Routine grounds your nervous system and signals to your spirit, I am safe, I am held, I am still standing. Just as Jesus continued the human act of breaking bread with his disciples on the very night he was betrayed, there is profound power in the ordinary when the spiritual world is in shift. Finally, release the demand to understand everything now. That burden is not yours to carry. Some clarity arrives only after the dust is settled, and this is by divine design. God does not explain the entire journey at once because he is not trying to impress you. He is forming trust within you. Trust grows one obedient step at a time. You are not losing what is essential. You are shedding what cannot accompany you forward. A holiness awaits on your horizon that cannot coexist with the chaos you've been carrying. Let go not in fear, but in reverence. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. One day soon, you will look back on this strange, quiet, sacred stretch of time and realize this was not the storm. This was the clearing. This was where God made room for what you didn't even know how to ask for. You have prayed for breakthrough, quietly, faithfully, often through wordless tears. You have prayed for peace, not vengeance. You have sought clarity, not chaos. And now, in a manner you never anticipated, your answer is arriving, not through ease, but through exposure. Breakthrough rarely begins as we imagine. Sometimes it doesn't look like an open door, it looks like a door slamming shut. Sometimes it starts with a dismantling so that something far greater can be built. Heaven has now begun to dismantle what has long obstructed your calling. This transcends a mere arrest or removal. It concerns the profound why behind that removal. You are not being avenged. You are being liberated. The weight that pressed upon your life through hidden manipulation, spoken curses, and spiritual interference is being lifted. Chains you never fully saw are now broken, not because you fought harder, but because heaven decreed, enough. There is a turning point in every divine story, authored not by the strength of the character, but by the perfect timing of God. It is the Esther moment, stepping forward not knowing the full danger, but trusting the heavenly whisper. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Perhaps this is your moment. You were not placed here to explain everything. You were placed here to witness the shift. The man you have been warned about is connected more deeply than you yet realize. He is not innocent, but he is also not the sole bearer of guilt. Heaven has witnessed the conversations behind closed doors, the staged narratives, the carefully crafted lies whispered into receptive ears. Now the mask is slipping from another figure, the one no one suspected. A woman cloaked in the appearance of innocence, using her pain as a performance and her charm as camouflage. But God is not deceived by performance. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. A heart fueled by deception will eventually betray itself. This woman's role in the unraveling is greater than many will be ready to admit. Heaven, however, is not invested in preserving false images. Heaven is invested in truth. The truth is this: there was a plan, a construct built not merely on betrayal, but on spiritual manipulation. Someone has been pulling strings from the shadows, weaving control into conversations, sowing fear into choices, and binding guilt into relationships. What was presented as loyalty was entrapment. What looked like support was a snare. That plan is now unraveling. This is not just a legal turning point, it is a spiritual alarm sounding in the unseen realm. What is happening in the natural is merely the echo of what has already been settled in the spirit. Just as Elisha's servants' eyes were opened to see the heavenly hosts surrounding them, so are you being given vision, not to fear the unfolding, but to comprehend who is truly at work. Heaven has not wasted your season of delay. Your steps were slowed not to punish you, but to shield you. You may have felt forgotten, but in reality you were being hidden until the time was safe. The man at the center of this, he has made mistakes, he has chosen wrongly, but he has also been the target of something darker than what appears on the surface. Now the false narrative spun around him is coming undone, not by legal strategy or human argument, but by light. The light of heaven pierces every false witness and dries up every poisoned root. Through it all, you must remain anchored, not in popular opinion or fear, but in truth. Your soul has known something was off long before it had a name. You have seen shadows in places others called safe. You have carried the weight of the unnamed. Now heaven confirms it. You were not imagining it. This strange, sacred unraveling is not chaos, it is divine correction. The spiritual balance is being reset. What once held power through secrecy is losing its grip under the relentless glare of exposure. And you are being freed, not just from a situation, but from a cycle. Freed from voices that twisted your worth, from relationships that fed on your silence, from systems that profited from your confusion. This is not random. You are not a passive observer. You were meant to know. You were meant to understand. Heaven has intervened not to frighten you, but to prepare you. What is coming will shake the foundations of what others thought they knew, but it will also confirm everything your spirit has quietly carried. There is nothing to fear. While others are just beginning to see the cracks, heaven has already constructed your pathway to safety. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. This is that freedom, and it starts now. You've felt it for a while. Long before words were spoken, before the situation escalated, something within you stirred, a heaviness in the air, a shadow behind certain smiles, repeating delays that defied logic, disturbances in your rest, shifts in tone, words that once felt warm turning inexplicably cold. You were not overthinking, you were not imagining things. Your spirit was discerning what your eyes had not yet confirmed. What was festering beneath the surface is now breaking open. The lies are cracking under pressure. God is tearing off the lid. A man stands at the center of this unfolding, imperfect but marked, flawed but chosen. His voice has grown quiet, his steps have slowed. Something around him has fundamentally changed, and it is not random. This man is being hunted, spiritually framed, set up, plotted against, and the one propelling the plot forward hides behind a facade of false light. She wears grace like a costume. She has learned to quote scripture not to seek God, but to manipulate people. She does not pray to surrender, she prays to dominate. Heaven has witnessed every moment, the tears you didn't trust, the laughter that rang hollow, the charm that unsettled your spirit. Now the Most High is lifting the veil. What was murky is coming to sharp focus, not because you demanded it, but because your role in this story is far more sacred than you knew. You are not here by accident. You are not reading this out of casual curiosity. This is a divine interception. You have been caught mid-scroll by the hand of the Almighty, because heaven requires your awareness, your intercession, your clarity. You are not watching a story unfold from a distance. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual battlefield. And the war is not solely about this man, it is about what he carries, the purpose, the mantle, the mission God planted within him before the world began. When the enemy cannot steal the calling, he attempts to destroy the vessel. Thus, a counterfeit was sent to this man, not just any woman, but an assignment dressed in the guise of affection. Her goal was never love, it was access. Her manufactured kindness opened doors to secrets. Her feigned closeness earned his trust. Once she held the keys, she began to construct the trap. It is the ancient pattern of Delilah who lured Samson into vulnerability only to deliver him to his enemies. This woman has crafted a performance of innocence rooted in profound betrayal. The enemy didn't need an army, he only needed someone in close proximity. This man, like Samson, now stands at a crossroads. His silence has been deafening, his weariness is palpable. But God is not finished with him. Heaven is not abandoning him to destruction. Divine justice is moving with swift precision. Angels have been dispatched. The archangel Michael stands at the gate. While the enemy celebrates prematurely, believing the trap is sprung, God is already dismantling the plan from within. The woman at the plot's center has rehearsed every scene. She knows how to cry in public and curse in private. She performs humility while feeding on control. She pays for silence and bribes for loyalty. She quotes holy verses to mask a venomous heart. But now heaven declares enough. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. She has used the language of holiness to mask unholy motives. But the holiness of God cannot be employed as a prop. Now he is stripping away the disguise. This exposure is not about humiliation, it is about justice, a divine reckoning. Truth is being revealed not merely to punish, but to protect what is sacred. God is not only clearing away lies, he is preparing the path for healing, restoration, and a future greater than any could anticipate. And you are part of that divine plan. Whether through your prayers, your steadfastness in truth, your unwavering presence, or your ordained silence, you are a vessel for this moment. You hold insight, you carry light, you operate in discernment. Your role is pivotal. Do not second-guess the unease you felt in her presence. Do not dismiss the tension your spirit sensed. That was heaven's whisper. That was the divine alarm sounding softly within you. Now, what was quiet is growing louder. What was hidden is rising into plain sight. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. As truth unfolds, the woman who stood in manufactured confidence will falter. Her alliances will fracture. The favor she manipulated will vanish. The stage she set for his downfall will become the platform of her own exposure. She built her power on a foundation of lies, and heaven does not bless manipulation, it blesses truth. But understand this, when truth ascends, darkness resists. That resistance may manifest as confusion, backlash, whisper campaigns, or sudden cold shoulders. Hold your ground. Let your prayers rise like incense. Let your discernment sharpen like a refined blade. You are covered. You are protected. You are not alone. What you feel rising in your chest is not fear, it is recognition. Your soul knows what is transpiring. Your spirit understands the gravity of this hour. You were born for this alignment. You were chosen for this unraveling. While the world shouts its judgments, you already possess the quiet knowing of what heaven has decreed. This is the hour of exposure, of spiritual correction, of divine realignment, and God is using you as part of His holy response. Do not fear the unfolding. Do not believe every tear you see. Not all pain is pure, not all brokenness is honest, not every accusation is righteous. Sometimes the enemy's most dangerous disguise is that of the victim, but the Lord is not blind. Now He is acting, swiftly, clearly, righteously. As the scroll of truth unfurls, you will watch the lies disintegrate, one by one, day by day. When the dust finally settles, you will know with certainty, this wasn't just a storm, it was a rescue mission. God is not too late, He never is. This moment, as urgent and strange as it may feel, is precisely on time. Heaven has not been idle. Though your eyes perceived silence, the throne of God has been a hive of purposeful activity behind the veil of your everyday life. Quiet, precise, divine movements have been in motion. Angels have walked the corridors of your days, unseen, yet ever present. They have stood at thresholds you were nearing without knowledge. They have turned winds in your favor when all seemed opposed. Now the moment of exposure has come, not to destroy, but to deliver. Something monumental is shifting, and your spirit has already perceived it. You felt the unexplained tension in the air, the pressure without a source. You noticed the glances that lingered too long, the conversations that hushed upon your entry. You have borne the weight of invisible warfare. Now heaven speaks with clarity. You were not imagining it. A man once within your circle, once trusted, once gentle in tone, has been walking a path constructed on deception. Not every serpent slithers, some speak with softness. This man has smiled with one face while concealing another. He traded integrity for temporary advantage, believing the shadows could hide what heaven sees in brilliant light. But the Lord who never slumbers has observed every step, for His eyes are on the ways of a man, and He sees all his steps. Now justice is in motion, not merely the justice of men, but the righteous justice of the Almighty. The gavel has fallen in the court of heaven, not from a place of wrath, but from a heart of righteousness and protection. Protection for you. You may feel a conflict of emotions. This is natural when your heart has cherished a person your spirit could not fully endorse. Love often sees potential, even when truth reveals a pattern. But God is not asking you to carry the burden of total understanding right now. He is asking you to trust Him as He removes what was never destined to remain. Behind the scenes, elements are being uncovered. Reports, testimonies, whispers in concealed rooms. None of it eludes the gaze of the Most High. He is pulling back the curtain. What was uttered in secret will echo in the halls where truth reigns supreme. The mask has slipped, and what lies beneath can no longer be ignored. You may wonder about the timing. Why the delay? Divine timing is never early and never late. The vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens towards the goal and will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it will surely come. It will not delay. What is happening now is the sure fulfillment of that appointed time. You are witnessing the convergence of the spiritual and the natural, the hidden becoming manifest. Your journey through uncertainty, your prayers in the night, your steadfast holding on, all of it has led to this point of revelation. Stand firm in the assurance that you are seen, you are known, and you are being guided through this clearing with divine intention. The path ahead, though perhaps unfamiliar, is paved with the promise of a peace that has been prepared for you since the foundation of the world. Walk forward in that peace.